interesting actually with franchises, because I am sort of noticing a lot of these sort of corporations and the sort of the larger bureaucracies within different divisions, whether it's let's just say pubs. You've got obviously some of these individual pubs that can choose what they want to do, but some of them that are all licensing linked, that if they lose it, it's a sort of domino effect. There's not much decision-making process in, for the individual. So when you're sort of saying about franchises, to give you that power to make a decision for your community, that's so important, and it certainly needs to be reflected throughout, really, in my view.
Absolutely, and we then passed that on as well. So we went and spoke to the team and said, look, we've been given the decision, we will make the decision, but we need to know that we've got people with us. And that was when that kind of moment came with one of the team who just said, for the greater good, I'll be here and I'll do everything I need to do, and I'll do it to the best of my ability.
What was his words again?
Oh, something along the lines of, yeah, if you're capable of doing the job and that job needs to be done for the greater good, you have a moral obligation to do it. You may not be the most qualified to do it, but if you are capable of doing it, then do it for the greater good.
That's interesting. There's probably a good link onto our rugby sort of side of things, just for a moment. I think when we met up at the rugby club, we sort of
where this is going.
Sorry.
I can see where you're taking this now.
Well, this is the point, isn't it? So we met, as Specsavers has been a kind sponsor of Silk Hillians Rugby Club for a number of years, and we sort of sat down together to understand how you were, how we are, what we are doing within the Silk Hillians arena, and you mentioned, and we'll come on to the making the clubs work element as well, but it really does, we've got to link this in really nicely. You mentioned to me that you played rugby, and there was no lifting in the line outs or anything like that when you started. So you sort of said, I don't know, your 6-year-old is just joined, they're looking for a new coach, and you sort of said,
well, when you're going to break a piece of wood, the key is you can't break the piece of wood by kind of going, right, Brad's going to tell me 6 different elements, I'll shut off to 2 of them and I'll focus wholly on 4. You'll never break. Even if you do 4 perfectly, it will not be as successful as doing 6, all of them just a little bit right. You'll get success. So when it comes to running an organization, getting those elements working, just understanding where we are and increase them by 1%. And Dave Brailsford talks about the Parthenon effect, I think, and the marginal differences. You just move each of these elements up a small amount and it has a multiplier effect, and it becomes exponential.
This is a very, very interesting point in terms of the Silk Hillians and the main aim of uniting the community through rugby, looking at the areas that we can improve, and really going back to this point when we met, and we talked about Clive Woodward's positive conversation and the wording in conversation, and that really resonates with me in terms of, I can be in a change room, we can be in huddle, and there's people saying at half time, don't do this, don't let through there, stop doing this, stop doing this. And I know, I can feel the negativity and the fear, anxiety that you feel when you hear these negative phrases and words that people think are motivational. And when we spoke, you're talking about how you can sort of rephrase these words for it to be positive, and that 1%, or I would say a larger percent of this will improve our club through positive conversations, is far and away better than how you can run around a cone, in my view. So tell me a bit about the Clive Woodward elements, and really that is how you're bringing some elements into this with the under 6s, I suppose.
You talked earlier about holistic approach, and what you're starting to see, and I'm very, very astute of you, is there's this club stuff, there's this work stuff, there's leadership, there's communication, and it all comes together. And I hadn't even realized, that I'd got these different elements in my life, but actually, yeah, they're all influencing each other. So I've read a reasonable amount about Clive Woodward, and some of his philosophies and things, primarily to help me at work. But it's interesting how lots of people think, oh, sports people can help businesses. But actually, I also think that businesses can help sports people. The difference is, and it's maybe me just being flippant, sports people will spend 6 days a week training to then put something into practice 1 day a week, or in some situations, they'll spend 4 years practice to have to put it into practice, to actually put it into play once in 4 years. In business, we get potentially, if we're lucky, an hour a week to practice something, but we're putting it into play hours and hours and hours every week. So it becomes they're just different challenges. They're not easier, better, harder. They're just different challenges. So one of the things that Clive Woodward talks about is teamship, and about understanding how teams work really well together. But also as leaders, the need to listen. One of the stories he tells, and forgive me, I don't, obviously I wasn't there, but he tells stories that I think it was Jason Robertson, when he came across from rugby league to rugby union, and came off the park and said, I'd have scored 3 tries if it hadn't been for this bloody shirt, or words to that effect. And it's like, what are you on about? He said, why do you wear these big, heavy, thick cotton shirts that are baggy? Because their defenders just grabbed hold and went to the ground, and I couldn't get. Whereas in league, we wear these tight-fitting, shiny shirts, and no one, if they're going to tackle you, they've got to tackle you. They can't just grab hold and go to the floor. And there was something in that, and rather than just dismissing it, oh, that's how we do things around here. How many times do we hear that? Clive Woodward is astute enough to go, do you know what, there's something in that. Let's go and have a look at that. And when you then look at the next World Cup that they go to, that next World Cup, there were 4 teams who were wearing tight-fitting, silky style shirts.
Can you imagine that conversation? Do you see how that conversation may have come about as well? People would have said, no, we're going to change the shirt. It's going to be all skinny and everything. And there will have been somebody that would have gone, yeah, but our support base doesn't want to wear these because their guts will be out here and everything like that. And there will have been people saying, don't do this, don't do that.
Well, actually, it's not for me to say, but it's not really for me to say, but I understand the way that the story is told. That's exactly what happened. It was a marketing, merchandising decision as to why they hadn't been using the silky shirts.
Okay.
And what do we see today? We see 2 styles of shirts. We have a replica players type replica shirt, the tight fitting silky style, and we have the supporters type shirt that supporters can wear, and you allow them to make the choice. There was another time, he says, when they came off the park, and they kind of said, one of the players said, we'd have won that game if we'd have known how the ref was going to interpret the rules. Wow, okay, let's analyze that, let's look into it. And apparently one of the things that they then went on to do is, with the advent of video and being able to see every other match played in the World Cup, for instance, what the team did was spent a portion of time not just looking at the team they were going to be playing on Saturday, but watching how the ref that they were going to be having on Saturday, how has the ref been interpreting the laws and the rules beforehand. So they had a better idea of what the ref, what the rule, how the rules were going to be interpreted, so they could literally play right up to the line and know that they were just short of infringement, and they had the ref on their side. And you know, you've played the sport. If you can get the ref on your side, you know, 16 men against 15 men, if you can get to the stage where the ref gives an instruction and every player follows it, the ref is then going to be looking at the opposition, because he can't be looking at different things at the same time. So if he says hands off White, and he's hearing the team say hands off White, repeating it, or they're showing their hands, he then goes hands off White. He knows they've got the message, and then he's looking at the opposition to see, right, where's the misdemeanors coming in from. So suddenly you've got that marginal difference that can give you the edge. Clive Woodward talks about, you know, that drop goal that won them the World Cup, you know, that was rehearsed. That wasn't made up on the day. That had been rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed, even to the point, apparently, of, you know, Johnny Wilkinson dropping into the pocket deliberately, going to be dropping it onto his non-kicking foot. Because if you were about to charge him down, you know he's a left footer. Where are you going to go? Initially you'll be thinking, well, he's never going to try and drop it from here for a start. You know, why are they taking the ball that way? They're obviously not going for a drop goal. And then suddenly he drops it onto the other foot. Bang, you know, that doesn't come in the moment. That had been planned. He talks about, he shows a photo brilliantly of, you know, on this day, this is the Tuesday before the World Cup final. He says, we're about to announce the 15 players who are going to pull on the first 15 shirts and the other 7 shirts that are going to get pulled on to make up the bench. So I'm about to make these guys days, weeks, lives, and these other guys are going to make something for them, and for the rest, going to be telling them they're not going to be pulling a shirt on.
Yeah.
Now, in that moment, what you don't want as a squad is for the other 20 odd people in the squad kicking the cat, bawling and shouting, going up to the coaches, why haven't you picked me, etc., etc. So they, through their teamship, they had already decided, how do we as a team, as a squad, how do we react in that situation? So then they have this situation where you've not been picked, but we're all part of one team. You still have a job to play. So you've not been picked. The first thing that you do is you step up to the guy who's got your shirt, you shake him by the hand, you look him in the eye, and you say, congratulations, well done. Now I'm going to work to make sure that you play the best you possibly can on Saturday. And you turn up to training and you train just as hard on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Because if you check out on Tuesday, you won't push that first team. You know, if you don't push them, they won't necessarily be in the best shape come Saturday. But not only that, what if you check out on Tuesday and that guy gets an injury on Thursday? What if he gets an injury on Friday night? What if he gets an injury 10 minutes before kickoff, pulls a muscle? If you're not in the right place to be able to go, I'm fit and I'm ready and I've been here all week, so I know the plays, we will still win the game. And you can't do that on the Tuesday before the World Cup final. You know, that's taken 7 years of preparation to get to that point. And it doesn't happen overnight. And it's the same with clubs. You know, you can't just have something happen day one.
Absolutely. Actually getting on, how many have you got and how's that going?
So we're currently, the highest number that we've had so far is 34.
Wow.
That's 2 age groups, so under 6s and under 7, under 6s and under 5s, Freudian slip. We're just having fun at this age. It's about introducing them to the concept of rugby. They don't play matches. They're just, you know, catching this ob-shaped thing, because if you drop it, Lord knows where it's going to go. So getting them used to that. We've just taken things back a little bit. So I know there are principles out there of get them used to, you know, playing with the kit that they're going to play with. You know, there's no point in having a gymnast who's great if they're bouncing off a trampoline, to get the height, etc. If you then are going to it on game day, take the trampoline away from them, yeah, but let's use it to build the confidence, and then so it's not the all, it's just the start. So we've got them slightly smaller balls, we've got grippier balls for passing and catching so that they can catch them easier, so they start to build the confidence. You talk about golf, I know you play golf, I know there's principles out there of one of the big pros used to go and practice, and all he would ever do was putt from 1 foot away on the green, you know, before he go and play a game, because his mind, his body was just getting used to the ball goes in the hole, and it goes in the hole every time.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
when I'm now standing over a putt that's 20 foot away or 30 foot away, the brain is going, the ball's going in the hole.
Yeah.
It's the inner game stuff.
Really
It's so we're just having fun. We're playing games. We're having a lot of fun. We get the kids screaming, we get them shouting, they run riot. We've got a brilliant saying amongst the parents. We've got a load of parents who've all said, I'll happily get, you know, I've never played rugby, I'm not into rugby, but I'll happily come along and coach and help out, which is great. So I think we've currently got about 9 coaches kind of within our age group who are just having a ball. We have this principle that if the kids are having fun, we as coaches can have fun. If we're running around, we're going to stay warm when it gets cold and wet. The parents, they need to have fun as well. So we engage everybody the whole time. We always get the kids. So we've already started talking to the kids about the 5 RFU core values. Not everybody knows what they are, but they're treads. So it's teamwork, respect, engagement or enjoyment, discipline and sportsmanship. We've already started talking to them about that. So when they're playing a game, look, it's important to clap the opposition and say well done. It's important to be respectful and be sportsmanship. And if I get tagged, because at the minute we're not allowed to play with tags, so it's, you know, very honest. It's, you know, has somebody tagged you with 2 hands? Yeah, I've been tagged. I'll take my time. I'll take out and I'll play a different role. Respect of the coaches, because if we can instill all of that now, I mean, it's just little things that we've started to do. So this last week, before we've been told now we're not allowed to for a while, we started just getting them running up and down the pitch. Okay, start running on a short blast of the whistle, and stop running when it's a longer blast of the whistle. Now the kids don't know it, so it's just a stop-start game. You know, it's a bit like musical statues as far as they're concerned. It's just a game. If we keep doing that, at some point when they start playing the game, quick blast of the whistle means go, we're off. A long blast means, right, something's happened, stop, look, listen, play to the whistle. You know, how many of us know that term? As coaches, if we now use a blast of the whistle, the kids stop and they turn and they look, right, what's the next instruction? We use the kind of standard end of the game type whistle.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's got a name, but we all do it. We use that after each game, and the kids know we stop the game, we come in, we have a debrief, we go get a drink. And if you do the same thing time and time again, by the time they're under 14s, under 15s, it's second nature to them.
Absolutely,
you know,
fantastic.
And it makes the coach's job easier. But you imagine if you were a referee of an under 14s team, that when you blew the whistle, all the players stopped and listened to you and gave you their attention, who's going to win the game?
Well, this is exactly the point with Clive Wilkinson that you mentioned earlier. If one referee can trust and rely on one side, they're only looking at the other side's sort of misdemeanors or penalty offences. Really, it just makes their job. As you said just before, when they said, we're on side, it was we're here. They know that it is human nature. If you can trust one side, you're looking for the other elements, and it's just going to be. I'm so excited that our first 2 months, that you've already got so much in place, that you've got the lads that they understand some of these rules, they're looking to enjoy. You've got some of the the foundations of rugby, the respect, the shaking of hands at the end. They start and stop. You've got the parents involved, to keep warm, because there's going to be some frosty mornings over the next few months. I'm really excited to see how you guys are getting on over the next few months. I'm going to come down in the next one of the next Sunday mornings and come and see those smiles.
Cool.
I think we've had.
Sorry. The big challenge, of course, is when you put yourself in that position, then everybody expects you to step up. When I train speakers on how to be better speakers, and then I have to speak to an audience full of people who I've trained, I know they're all critiquing me. When you've written a book that kind of says this is how you run things, then there's an element of you've got to live up to that. And one of the elements I've touched on is nurture. You've got to nurture the succession plan. The coaches that I'm working with, I've already got a number of them who put their hand up and said, yeah, we'll run sessions. I've got to go for an operation. They said, we'll step in, we'll run the sessions. We're in a COVID scenario. We don't know if anyone's going to be isolating as parents. We don't know whether the coaches will be taking time out, but we're working as a team already. We've got that in place. No point in waiting until Friday night or Saturday night and getting a call to find that you're stuck. But the element of nurture, we've already identified next year's coaches, so that where we were this year is the start of the season and no coaching, because all of the parents, a bit like the scouts that I talked about earlier, all of the parents had moved up with their age group kids, and we got at our age group, we'd got nothing. So the first thing that we did is we went and found, right, you've got children in under 5, you get involved, because next year you'll be
if you're capable, just crack on.
Absolutely. And then what we're now doing is we're also now encouraging the kids and the parents. We've had a couple of parents who said, oh, my little Johnny's comes along and he doesn't know anybody. He's in this, he's in a school, he doesn't know any of the other players. Is there a way of getting him introduced to other people? Yeah, best way to get him introduced to other people is get him to bring his mates along. Bring 3 or 4 mates along. They're just going to have a blast. They're going to have some fun. They'll already know each other, and through rugby they'll meet each other. And we'll keep mixing them up and working in different squads and different pods with the different kids and things. Turn up early and come and just pass the ball around with some of the other lads, etc. And by doing that, what we're doing is and Rotary use a lovely term, so it's not my term, I can't steal it. And one of the things I ideally, as a speaker, I always like to attribute work back to the relevant sources. Rotary introduced a great slogan that is stop recruiting, start attracting. And it's a brilliant concept. If you've got the club working well, others will just naturally want to be a part of that, and the parents and the kids will enthuse about it. So we don't have to kind of go and bring along a new friend and blah blah blah. What we do is we create a great environment where the kids are having a great time. So when they go back to school on Monday, what did you do over the weekend? Oh, we went to rugby and it's great fun and you should come along. And
this is absolutely what it's all about. 12 months ago, when we sort of had this conversation, how are we going to look at recruitment? Well, we don't have to look at recruitment. We need to put our ducks in a row, make sure we have a plan, which is, in essence, the ultimate aim is to unite the community through rugby. We put the cornerstones of that in place, as you say, the right safeguarding, wellness teams, the right marketing as well, just to back up what we are doing, the right coaching setup, the right principles that we've got to work through, and then we work through, and then suddenly people are within that sort of jigsaw puzzle, telling other people to contribute and help us find those other pieces. So it's absolutely brilliant.
And that kind of links right back to the very start. It's about stop selling and helping people buy. Create the right environment and people want to buy it. You give them the right information, you take them by the hand. We may have a Johnny Wilkinson We may never have a Johnny Wilkinson. It doesn't matter. These kids just are having a blast. And we're creating the right environment where the parents will come and stand in the cold and the wet. You know, if little Johnny, I'd like to think that if little Johnny wakes up one morning, it's like, all right, yeah, you're not going, because they looked out the window and it's pouring with rain and it's blowing a gale, as opposed to, I think we're creating an environment where the parents will go, oh, come and run it off. You know, you're going to the rugby because I'm going to go and meet up with these people. I'm going to have a coffee and we'll have a laugh. And, you know, we create a community, and that's, I know exactly what SILS is all about. It's community, and through sport, doesn't matter what sport, you know, we've got sons and a daughter, so you know, at some point I'm sure there will be different sports, but there's a real sense at SILS of community, and it doesn't matter whether they're on a Sunday morning, it doesn't matter whether they're football or hockey or rugby. There's a buzz about the place ordinarily when we, you know, sit around afterwards and have a coffee or whatever.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
And that's crucial.